The wind howled across the barren plains, rattling the brittle wood of the cabin of snowflakes, spun like angry ghosts in the night. A man named Elias, grizzled and tired from the day's work, stepped out onto the frozen earth, pulling his coat tighter around his shoulders, when he heard a small, trembling voice behind him. "Sir, if we milk your cow, would you let Mama sleep inside? Her feet are frozen." He turned sharply, lantern light spilling across the snow to reveal two children, one boy, one girl, clutching each other in the bitter cold. Their clothes were worn thin, their eyes wide with desperation. And behind them, half in the shadows, stood a woman leaning heavily on a wooden crutch, her face pale and her body trembling as if each breath might be her last. Elias felt his heart squeezed tight inside his chest, for he had seen hardship before, but never so raw, never in such fragile forms. The boy stepped forward, his lips blue, his small hands red from the cold, and his eyes locked onto Elias's with a courage beyond his years. "We don't ask for food, sir. We can work. We can milk your cow. We can sweep your floors. But please, please let Mama rest her feet by your fire. She can't stand much longer." The girl clutched her mother's skirt, nodding fiercely, her voice breaking as she added, "We'll do anything. We just want her warm again." For a long moment Elias stood frozen, torn between his own hardships and the sight of theirs. The world out here on the frontier was harsh, unforgiving, and resources were always scarce. But as the snow clung to the eyelashes of those children, as their breath came in short, desperate clouds, something inside him shifted. He remembered his own childhood, the nights he had gone to bed hungry, the winters when his own mother had sacrificed everything to keep him alive. His throat burned as he muttered, "Get inside, all of you." The woman tried to protest, her pride cutting through her weakness, but Elias cut her off with a firm wave of his hand. "No more words. Come in before the cold takes you." He helped her step onto the wooden porch, his strong arms supporting her frail frame, while the children scampered inside ahead of them, their little bodies shaking but their eyes bright with hope. The cabin was humble, a fire glowing in the hearth, the smell of stew lingering faintly in the air. The children's faces lit up as they felt the sudden warmth, and for the first time that night Elias saw them smile. The woman sank into a chair by the fire, tears streaming silently down her cheeks as she stretched her frostbitten feet toward the flames. Elias crouched down to her level and said gently, "No one should beg for warmth. Not while I have fire to give." The boy tugged on his sleeve, desperate to keep his word. "Sir, I can milk the cow now if you show me. I'm strong enough." Elias smiled faintly, patting the boy's shoulder. "There'll be time for work come morning. Tonight you and your sister will eat and your Mama will rest." The hours passed slowly, and as the storm raged outside, the little cabin filled with the sound of children's laughter. Their mother, though weary and weak, finally let her eyes close, her face softening as warmth returned to her body. Elias sat quietly by the fire, watching them, feeling something he hadn't felt in years: purpose. Out here, men often lived only for themselves, ardent by the wild land and the endless struggles it demanded. But tonight reminded him that the measure of a man wasn't in the strength of his arms or the size of his land. It was in how he answered when the vulnerable knocked at his door. As dawn broke, painting the snow in gold and rose, Elias led the boy to the barn and showed him how to milk the cow. The boy's hands were clumsy but determined, his face glowing with pride as the first drops of milk hit the bucket. His sister fetched firewood with a smile that no longer trembled with fear, and their mother, leaning on her crutch, watched with gratitude that words could not contain. Elias knew then that they hadn't just asked him for shelter. They had reminded him of humanity. They had pulled him back from the edge of solitude, giving him a reason to open his heart again. And so what began as a desperate plea in the snow turned into the beginning of something greater, a family forged not by blood, but by mercy and love. Dear friends, if this story touched your heart, remember that kindness is a fire we can all carry. Even the smallest act of compassion can change the course of another's life. If you believe the world needs more stories of hope, courage and love, then please subscribe to this channel. Together, let's keep the flame of humanity burning bright.